1989, right before my senior year of high school, when I was first diagnosed with the Hodgkin's disease. At that point, I had radiation therapy and spent most of my senior year going to the hospital right after school each day. 2 years later, when I was re-diagnosed with the Hodgkin's, at that point, chemotherapy was the decided treatment. And then a couple years after that, this time in the fall of 1994, the Hodgkin's came back for a third time. It was determined that I needed a bone marrow transplant. And at that point, I was again cancer-free. Life got back to normal. Things were good. Until 2 years after that, in 1997, the chemotherapies that I'd had previously had caused a secondary leukemia. I was just about to turn 26, and I was pretty convinced that that was going to be my last year of life. I mean, I just had so many things going against me. So my doctors kind of put their heads together and figured out a course of chemotherapy for me. All told, it lasted for 3 years. I did a year of the traditional chemotherapy that you would expect, injections, hair loss, nausea, that kind of thing, and then 2 more years of maintenance chemotherapy after that. As it turned out, the concoction of drugs they came up with did work on me. I was done with the cancer, but I was far from done with the different health hurdles. Because of the prolonged use of prednisone during my chemotherapy, which is a steroid, I had severe damage to my bones and had to have one of my hips replaced, and I had to have my left shoulder replaced. I also had heart damage from chemotherapy, and the heart damage had done a severe enough number on my heart to actually land me on the heart transplant list in 2001. Finally, in October of 2006, Carrie and I got the phone call, and it was UCLA calling, telling me that they had a new heart ready for me, and I needed to get to the hospital as soon as possible. Shortly after 1 o'clock in the morning, I was done. I was up in ICU with my new heart, and a week later, I was out of the hospital on my own with my new ticker, and things have been going great since then.
We met, actually I was training with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's marathon training program. He was what they call an honor teammate, which is a face with the cause, or face for the cause that speaks on behalf of the society. And someone who's been through the trenches, someone who has survived the disease. There couldn't be a better face for the cause or a better inspiration than someone who's had a disease 4 times, especially for someone like me who didn't know at that point anyone who had ever had to suffer with it. We hung out that race weekend and then the following week, and ever since, and it's been the better part of 5 years now.
I got drafted into this fight against cancer, and she was a volunteer, and I think that there's something really cool to be said about the people who volunteer for this fight. One of the things that I most had wanted to do was participate in the team and training program with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I had been an observer for such a long time, and now that I had my new heart, I wanted to actually be a participant, to take part in it. Since I had this new engine, I wanted to see what it could do. And so in May of 2007, so what is that, I don't know, 8 or 9 months after the transplant, we began training for the Malibu Triathlon, which is September 16th. And it's been really quite cool. I am definitely not going to win the triathlon.
Not this time.
Not this time.
Go team!
I think as things continue on in life and you continue to have hurdles, you can always find those areas where things could be so much worse, that life isn't all that bad, that if you can focus on the good things you have. I mean, facing a heart transplant last year, but I had a wonderful wife, a supportive family. Career-wise, things were going well, and so if you just focus on those things and realize, okay, this is something, but we can get through this. I mean, look at all these. There's a lot of good things going on in my life, and I'm really quite lucky.
He became like the master of uncertainty, really. And as soon as you can sort of give yourself up to that, and that it is, you deal with today, and you'll deal with tomorrow as it comes, or deal with next week, and you sort of free yourself of a lot of those, intermittent burdens. It really does make your life easier. So many people say to me, how is it that you can take on so much, when in fact I feel almost the opposite, that goes, it really made my life a lot easier being able to deal with the bigger pictures versus the small little things, and being able to take joy in so many of the little things.
One of the things my doctor once said was that that everybody who goes through something like this really is courageous, and and sometimes people then say, well, how do you push aside the fear and continue to move on? And I don't believe that courage is the absence of fear. Everybody's afraid, and it's okay to be afraid. Courage is the ability to continue to move forward in the face of fear. And I think we all have that in us, and all have that ability. And certainly, when we have the support of friends and family and loved ones, it becomes that much easier. And you get through it. There always is a light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes the tunnel is long and dark, but there is an end to it. And if you just keep focused on that, you can get through anything. I want to make sure and do what I can, because I feel like as survivors, we kind of owe it to the people who aren't survivors to make sure and do what we can to make lives better for other people.